Now, the Bank of Ghana says it will soon descend on financial institutions that fail to use the required vehicles for the transport of cash in the country. According to the central bank, most of the bullion vans are only enhanced pickups with a canopy at the back and a small padlock. An assistant director at the bank, Jarvis Chodemeku, said more needs to be done in the transfer of cash from one point to the other in the country. Now, the question now is, how safe is your money? We'll talk about that over the next few minutes. David Agbe is Executive Director of the Ghana Institute of Governance and Security, and he's here with me in the studio. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the opportunity once again.
So when you sit at home and then you think about your money in the bank, how safe do you think it is?
I think that it is safe, but then Bank of Ghana as a regulatory body needs to actually interact with the banks so that they can, better understand, them. In connection with the bullion vans, Bank of Ghana has a certain prescriptions for them as to the way they need to, go about their daily business. The bullion vans, they normally use pickups, and the pickups, the Bank of Ghana has a certain prescription that they need to have a safe key. Okay. They need to also make sure that the bullion van is safe enough to be able to, transit money from one point to another. And so the banks too, they also take an insurance policy for their bullion vans. They have what they call money in transit. So if you are, transiting money from Kokomumli to maybe Jowolo, they have a certain limit. They will tell you if it is a rural bank, they have, money that you have to withdraw from, any other commercial bank to the next destination. So they have money in transit for them, a policy that you have to do. And it covers a certain amount of money for a period of year. So you know that if you are, transiting money from Kokomemre to Jowolo, this is the amount. If it is about 50 million Ghana cedis, So per year, the quantity of amount that need to be transferred from one point to another. So they have all those policies for them. But as to the prescriptions of the bullion van, it is incumbent on Bank of Ghana to tell them that you have to use, if it is 4x4, you have to use 4x4. If it is about Toyota, you have to use Toyota or Nissan. And so all the commercial banks, including savings and loans and, rural banks in Ghana, they all have, bullion vans. But how safe it is what Bank of Ghana need to point to them that this is the type that we want. We want you to use Toyota brand. We want you to use Nissan brand. But then, it also comes with, liquidity matter.
Do we stand any real risk when we, a bank decides that we want to transform a pickup into a bullion van? Are there any risks to it? It transfers the money, so?
Yes, normally it is being accompanied by police officers, most of the banks. But don't forget that, was it 2 years ago in Circle here, one of the bullion van was just moving, and all of a sudden something happens, and all the money, were just dropping, and so passengers and people were just chasing for all those money. So I think that Bank of Ghana need to do more to sensitize them.
Shouldn't our banks themselves be conscious enough that we want to protect the monies we carry?
They are conscious, but the bullion vans, when you go to the market, it's almost around 50,000 Ghana cedis, 40,000 Ghana cedis.
And the banks can't?
At times it is difficult for them. because of their
budgetary. It's the cost of security. For the money you're carrying, for the people who have trusted you enough to keep their monies for them, and you think that really 50,000 cedis is too much for the bank?
When I and you go to the bank, to borrow, and they inflate the figure on us, we tend to say that banks are charging exorbitant amount, and all those things are, fixed costs. There are also overheads, costs, associated with all this. So I think that Bank of Ghana also need to also make sure that they give them a certain prescription. I know Bank of Ghana, they have their monitoring team that they go round the country, rural bank, savings and loans, including microfinance. They go around all the time to do more sensitization, but they need to, dialogue with them to get them on board, to appreciate that they are only looking for a security of customers' money. And so that is what Bank of Ghana needs to be doing more. But, you realize that now Bank of Ghana is not having more capacity because the banks are so plenty now. When you go to rural banks, they have almost about over 130 plus rural banks. And when it comes to Savings and Loans Limited, I mean over hundreds, and savings microfinance, over 500 of them. So Bank of Ghana is lacking capacity to deal with all those institutions because their staff strength is not much. So at the end of the year, they are not able to do more sensitization across the country. And so that is the limitations of the Bank of Ghana. But they need to actually, get people who are ever ready to do more sensitization because the financial market is coming up.
It's expanding.
Yes, it is expanding. It is more emerging now because Ghanaians are, tired of the old system of the commercial banks alone. Now they are veering into savings and loans, they are veering into microfinance, but unfortunately the microfinance too are also taking advantage and duping people left and right. So Bank of Ghana needs to do.
Another of the limitations of a central bank is because it's a toothless bulldog. I mean, it says a lot of these things and then it does nothing about them. I haven't come across any real sanctions against Universal. For crying out loud, we can't even ensure maximum transparency in our banking industry, and hence customers would have to bear all, would have to submit to the whims and caprices of these commercial banks. Now, the thing is, how can we get there if the Bank of Ghana keeps doing this?
I agree with you. I mean, everybody knows that Ghana, we have, we write good English all the time. But when it comes to the implementation of the law, everybody, including the Chief Justice, they are all not ready to make sure that the law, bites people. And that is what is lacking in Ghana's, democracy. We keep on touting ourselves, we have a very, nice democracy. But our laws are not working. And so, if you write, good laws and it is in your archives and it is not seen to be, working, then where lies the importance of the law? So all the state institutions, nobody is ready. And one key thing is that Ghana, we have over-democratized everything. And so, at times, state institutions want to take a certain, actions, but people will quickly call in the media, and the media too will also jump into it, saying all kinds of things, and at the end of the day, implementation becomes bad because we do not have strong leaders who are ever ready to make sure that they are blunt enough to champion the cause. And they are all, being lackadaisical. Everybody is doing his own thing, and because he thinks that at the end of the month, whatever it is, I'm going to get my money. But you should be able to challenge the status quo. You shouldn't let the status quo remain as it is. Every leader, every good leader, make sure that when he comes, he does certain things, differently to make sure that people actually benefit from all these kind of institutions. But we are not seeing a robust, leadership, ever ready to make sure that things are done properly because they are always afraid of castigation from the media. But I think that if you are doing the right thing, media will commend you. But if you are doing the worst thing too, media will also bash you for doing the.
Perhaps the bank customer is also not demanding.
Of course, it is. Ghana, we have that lazy attitude in us. Even for somebody to raise questions at banks, it is very difficult. They think that, the banks are there just to serve our interests. So even if the banks are cheating us, we don't even have the right to question them. And so, Ghana, if you travel across Nigeria, for instance, that is why they are always being seen as very confident people. Ghanaians are not confident too.
I disagree.
We are never confident people.
Even if we wanted to demand, do we have the structures? Do we have the avenues? Have the opportunities been created for us to demand?
Kemeni, because you are in the media and you've been interviewing, several people, you have the muscles to be able to probe and ask questions. But ordinary person, even asking simple question, becomes a burden. And so the banks will keep on playing all kinds of, gimmicks just to, take our money. But if everybody is ever ready to make sure that wherever
my point is, okay, I go to Bank A. Bank A does not satisfy me as a customer. In fact, terribly deals with me as a customer. Where do I go to make a complaint? The Bankers Association?
Ghanaian DNA. We are always afraid to challenge people even when they are doing the wrong thing. We are never ready to tell that person that, my brother, what you are doing is wrong. We are always afraid. Oh, my pastor, he will go and report me to my pastor, he will go and report me to my family member and all those things. So he will want to shove all those things and always be sweating within. And so I think that we've gotten to a point that we actually need to challenge the state institution that there is a need for them to do more. If not, we are never going to see anything, beneficial to this country.
Right. David, we'll end our conversation on security of our monies in the bank here. Many thanks for passing through the program
today. But I heard you talking about, we are very passionate about the oil. If I should give you some information, you yourself, I don't know where you put your head.
I think would find time to deal with the oil matter.
You know that they are selling the oil blocks as if they are selling Kalawole, somewhere. And you see,
we'll talk about that. Unfortunately, even if
it is a serious thing.
Even if we started the conversation, we couldn't finish because it's time for us to go already.
I wish that every media house would sacrifice a bit of time to debate and critically examine the way the oil,
which is what we'll do. I want to promise my viewers
the information
that
out there is
we'll that.
The information out there.
David, I have to go now. Now here's what I'll do. I'll take a quick breather and then come back. We'll take a look at something else briefly before we go.